Hello, everyone. Will the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs please come to order? It's 12:22 p.m. I'd like to welcome Committee Vice Chair Cordero and committee members Kia'aina, Okimoto, Talba, Tupola by video, Waters, and Wire. Before we start our meeting, I have some procedural announcements to make. Pursuant to Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda when the item is taken up in the following order. First, in-person testimony in the council chamber, then remote testimony. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. For remote testifiers, when your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Some friendly reminders and tips. Please video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you're also watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time at which you're called to testify. When the timer on screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. All registered testifiers will be called upon first. Then I'll give persons who have not registered an opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. Please utilize the raise hand feature in Zoom to be called upon. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes in remote meetings to be conducted by a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, if any objections are noted, I'll call for a roll call vote. For those council members participating from outside of the council chamber, in accordance with HRS Section 92-3.7, the meeting will automatically recess if we lose audiovisual contact with you and cannot reconvene until we reestablish contact. Therefore, please announce beforehand if you'll be voluntarily signing out of the meeting. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described in the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of the meeting. I would note again that Councilmember Tupola is participating by video conference remotely. And Councilmember Tupola, in accordance with HRS Section 92-3.7, please identify each person who's with you at your location.
Aloha, thank you everyone. I am here alone.
Great, thank you. All right, members. Agenda item number 1 is Resolution 23-261, which establishes a sister city relationship with Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan. I see we have the new director, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office on Culture and the Arts, Ka'ili Trask O'Connell.
Aloha, Chair Dos Santos Tam and council members. Ka'ili Trask O'Connell, Executive Director of the Office of Culture and the Arts. Today, I'd like to express my support for Resolution 23-261 to establish a sister relationship with Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan. Shibuya has a long history with Hawaii, as King Kalakaua was the first foreign monarch to visit Japan to discuss partnerships and encourage Japanese settlers to work in Hawaii. Today, Shibuya is a major commercial and financial center, while also being recognized as Tokyo's fashion capital. And of course, it is also known for its famous Shibuya crossing. There are many opportunities for Shibuya and Honolulu to partner and learn from each other, including business, education, and tourism. Finally, it's important to note that the establishment of this sister city relationship will be the first under Mayor Blangiardi's administration. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the new Executive Director of MOCA? Council Vice Chair Kia'aina.
Thank you. Welcome, Director.
Thank you.
And thank you for this. I'm excited, so I strongly support this measure, but I would like to ask the status of the sister relationship with the Cook Islands.
Yes, that is something that we are pursuing, and I'm going to have Sam comment more on that.
Aloha, Sam Moku, Chief of Staff for Mayor. Council Member Kia'aina, I am currently working with Paka Worthington and waiting for him to. I'm waiting for him to give me the information that will be sent, a letter from the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands.
Okay, so that's good to hear. So they are in the queue, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll see a resolution.
Yes.
Establishing a sister city?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, I'm excited about Shibuya, but I do believe, and I've said it since I was elected, we need to increase our sister city relationship with our Pacific Island brothers and sisters.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you.
Mahalo.
I understand we also have a video from the mayor of Shibuya, Ken Hasebe.
Aloha, konnichiwa. I'm Hasebe Ken, the mayor of Shibuya City. I'm honored to address you from Shibuya City, which is not only the heart of Tokyo, but also a symbol of innovation, inclusivity, and cultural diversity, like the city Honolulu. Together, I believe we can create a great collaboration project in various aspects. I'm looking forward to working with you. Please allow me to continue speaking in Japanese. 改めまして、こんにちは。渋谷区は違いを力に変える街渋谷区を基本構想に、多様性、ダイバーシティ、インクルージョン、こういったものを街づくりのエネルギーとしています。まさにホノルルハワイのマラマハワイと同じ考えだというふうに思っています。お互いを思いやり、認め合って、そして調和して新しい価値文化をしていく、そういった街づくりです。先進的な観光産業、スポーツウェルネス、多様性、世界に誇れるアート、自然保護、音楽、ファッション、文化の継承、そしてスタートアップ支援、まさにホノルル市と渋谷区は同じ方向を目指しているというふうに感じています。ホノルル市と渋谷区が姉妹都市を結ぶことによって、お互いにとってまた新たな価値や文化、そして刺激し合うことで、またさらにお互いが友好関係を深めていけるというふうに感じています。スポーツの交流ではバスケットやマラソンなど今すぐにでもできそうなことがあります。渋谷区ではフラダンスをやっている方もたくさんいます。子どもたちの学校の給食の交流、これもすぐできるんじゃないかなというふうに思います。この友好都市プロジェクトでお互いの人、物、ことが本当に交わる具体的な取り組みを行っていきたい、そういうふうに強く願っています。I express my deep gratitude for this opportunity to connect Shibuya with the people of Hawaii. Let's build bridges and create a bright future together. Mahalo, and may our friendship flourish and prosper. ありがとうございます。
All right. That was a very nice message. And now we'll proceed with in-person testimony. I understand we have testimony from Angela Melody Young. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair and the City Council. Angela Melody Young testifying in strong support of Shibuya as a sister city. So why are sister cities important? Sister city organizations promote peace through people-to-people relationships with program offerings varying greatly from basic cultural exchange programs to shared research and development projects. Sister City can promote your community's activities in the sister country. And sister cities can foster friendship and understanding between different cultures and reconcile and restore former foes as an act of peace and reconciliation for a brighter future. So Shibuya is a lively hub and is arguably the heart and the soul of the city of Tokyo. And with world-famous sites, including the iconic crossing, Shibuya is a must-see for trendy youth culture. So, in support.
Thank you. Members, any questions? All right. Is there anyone else in the council chamber who'd like to testify? All right. Hearing none, this does remind me that Shibuya is actually the home of Japan's largest Halloween celebration as well. So, and next to Harajuku as well, where there's a lot of people who enjoy fashion. So, is there any discussion?
I would just like to ask the city administration how this process came about. Like, did the mayor of Shibuya approach us, and what was that like?
Yeah. Either Director O'Connell or Sam?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, just wondering how the process started with the discussions with Shibuya.
Okay, I'm going to have Sam. Can you help out with that since I wasn't actually here?
So the process was already started with the previous MOCA director, and then we just carried it forward and made that happen.
Okay.
And we had introductions. Mayor had a meeting maybe a couple of months ago with the Shibuya delegation via virtual meeting a couple of months ago, I want to say, yeah.
Okay, and I was just wondering, was it through a meeting, like an economic development conference where both mayors met, or who approached who?
There was that conference in Waikiki. I'm not aware if the Shibuya mayor was there, but it could have been, but I'm not sure. That might have been the engagement, but not sure about that.
Okay, I know that the mayor of Shibuya mentioned a little bit about how they will honor and proliferate Honolulu and Hawaii's culture and getting to know Hawaii as well in Shibuya. And so how do we anticipate to do that here as well? Because, I mean, we have Japanese, but how do we distinguish what is Shibuya versus like Japan holistically?
So one, I think, we need to engage by visiting Shibuya, Japan itself. We are also working with HTA. They are assisting us in doing a little Shibuya and a little Honolulu, which is basically they're going to identify a place in Shibuya where they can share the Hawaii, something Honolulu, Hawaii-ish, you could say. And then in Waikiki, I believe, we're going to look for a parcel where we can celebrate Shibuya, maybe with a certain dog that they revere in Shibuya. So that would be part of the exchange.
Okay, thank you. I also wanted to ask, because the mayor did mention Malama Aina or Malama Hawaii, and that was pretty cool to see. And I know that there's a lot of programs with the different travel agencies and Japan travel group companies that promote such development, not development, but like culture, yeah. And then, of course, when we went to South Korea, I think that they were able to use a lot of data and a lot of different programs and a lot of different, efforts for individual travel to Hawaii, and talking about like not just cultural exchanges, but giving like their Korean citizens giving back to Hawaii in general. So I was wondering if you could, I guess, package that if we happen to go through with the sister city to ensure that we, I guess, are in alignment with what HTA and destination management and the like.
Yeah, there's been talk about doing hula exchanges, as well as the University of Hawaii women's basketball team being able to do a couple of games in Shibuya. So there's that the university exchange between athletes and their athletic programs in Shibuya. So.
Okay, thank you. And I know that we have, because we have certain activation levels of sister cities, I keep bringing up South Korea because we're talking about Japan right now, or Shibuya. But in South Korea, they're using a lot of the data of their travelers and comparing it to people who are coming from the U.S. Continent and then coming from even Japan, and seeing like how much they actually give back to Hawaii as a whole. And so I think what I would like to see from this, since Shibuya is looking to have something that really reflects Honolulu up there, if there's a way that they can provide statistics or something like that, or data that would help us on our end as well, that we can also mirror. I think what we can learn from other sister cities is that they really do use data that's driving international affairs and travel, and even how they interact with international people visiting them and vice versa. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll work with them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, members. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, the chair recommends the resolution 23-261 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion or objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Members, we're on agenda item number 2. This is resolution 23-239, which initiates amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu, 1973, amended 2017 edition, as amended, relating to the qualifications of the Director of Emergency Management. Members who also have a posted proposed CD1, which is OCS 2023-0902, to the resolution submitted by Councilmember Wire. For your information, a summary of those amendments is listed on the addendum agenda. I see we have the, do we have the Director of the Department of Emergency Management here? I see we do. So bring up Director Hirokazu Toya.
Good afternoon, Hiro Toya, Director of Department of Emergency Management. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'll have ask Assistant Director Florencio Boguillo to come up and talk a little bit about this as well. But the position of the Director of Emergency Management is a civil service position. So there's already qualifications defined through the civil service process. But I do appreciate this opportunity to discuss the creation of a new chapter in the charter for the department. The way it's currently structured, the department falls under the section of the Office of the Managing Director. And this is sort of an artifact of when the reorg happened in 2007 that created the department, which was formerly the Oahu Civil Defense Agency. So that was done under the mayor's power to initiate the executive organization reorg. So as I understand, there were limitations in what could be amended within the charter under those powers without going to the voters. So I do appreciate this opportunity to create this chapter for the department and to further define what the department does, and also do some housekeeping to make it more consistent with other departments within the city. So we do have some proposed language for that we hope to be able to discuss at a future date. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the Director of DEM? Okay. Andrea, Councilmember.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So, Director, real quick, you are as the same as the Office of Housing, where it's under the Managing Director and not a department?
Ma'am, we are a department in the charter, but just the chapter for us in the charter is under the Office of the Managing Director. So we are technically a department, but as a function of when the reorg happened in 2007, there was not a separate chapter in the charter created for the department.
Huh, interesting. So you're asking to just basically have a designation outside of the Managing Director's office?
And that's the current proposed language initiated by Council on the charter amendment. It creates a separate chapter for the department, which would include the qualifications for the director, the roles and responsibilities for the department and the director. And what we're also proposing from our side is to have the Citizens Advisory Commission on Emergency Management, which also falls under the Managing Director section in the charter, to be moved into that new chapter.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Chair, I was asking because we only have X amount of departments we can have per the charter, but since they already are one, I don't think we'd be losing a slot by doing this. But thank you for allowing me to ask the question.
No, thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, do we want to bring the Deputy Director of Human Resources up to also share his department's perspective?
Good afternoon, Chair Dos Santos Tam, Vice Chair Cordero, members of the committee, Assistant Director Bugs Baguio for HR. So we are supportive of the resolution in this respect of creating a separate chapter for the Department of Emergency Management. And yes, it is already counted as a department currently, so it won't add to our count of departments. Basically, our proposed revision that we submitted this morning, and apologies, we needed to have it be looked at by several people internally and along with Director Toya. But basically, we're trying to address the issue that we raised at the council hearing on October 4 about how, as a civil service position, the qualifications are normally defined via the civil service process, which is under the authority of the Director of HR under the charter. So our proposed revision addresses that issue.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the Department of Human Resources? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here, Deputy Director. Just to clarify, what the last point you just said means. So it sounds like, just to make sure I understand, you're saying we shouldn't have any minimum requirements in the charter and just kind of leave it up to the civil service HR process.
That's our position, Councilmember Wire. If you, like I believe I referenced at the last council hearing that it's actually available online on our DHR class specifications. And if you look at the minimum qualifications, they're fairly consistent with what you folks want to put in, because our classification people actually vet these with subject matter experts before they finalize the class specs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, if we put minimum qualifications in the charter, or if the voters did, if it gets out of council, that wouldn't preclude or prevent DHR from having more extensive requirements. Is that correct?
It'd be somewhat inconsistent because you'd have a charter provision in existence right now under the Department of HR where it says if non-civil, if it's positions that fall within civil service are subject to the position and classification plan of under the director. So if you have a MQ specified in another charter provision, you're going to have some inconsistencies there.
Okay, so do you have any additional job descriptions or requirements for other appointed positions, or no?
No, those are normally defined by charter. I believe there's like, when I checked the charter last time, there's like some with some qualification requirements, some without. They're not consistent. And if you look, the ones that do have it, they're very brief. The one in CD1 is much more extensive than any other that I saw in the charter.
Brief meaning like the other ones are maybe they have 4 years of experience.
Yeah, something.
Or so many years of experience.
Right, council member, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So we welcome further discussion on our draft. And again, apologies, we just submitted it this morning, but it went through several hands.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And just wanted to clarify for the discussion purposes too. So essentially the draft you're proposing would just be specifically looking at cleaning up the charter, we could say, or moving the department around.
And as Director Toya mentioned, he added some additional duties, functions, and responsibilities in there to update that provision.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay.
Chair, can I ask one more?
Councilmember Tupola.
I don't know if this is for Deputy or for Director Hero, but I wanted to just ask the size of this department, how many positions, and then how many of them are on contract. I just wanted to see if is it under the managing director's office because it's tiny, or this is a huge department and we really should just cut out a new chapter.
I'll defer to Mr. Toya.
Aloha, Hiro Toya again. So the department has 15 and a half FTEs. So I don't believe the reason for creating the separate chapter is really a function of how big the department is, but that it is a department. And when the reorg was done back in 2007, the idea then was that the function warranted its own separate department. But because of the way in which the charter amendment occurred, it was initiated through the mayor and adopted via resolution to make the amendment rather than going to the voters. So this extensive revision of the charter in terms of creating a new chapter, as I understand, was not feasible through that process.
Yeah, that's true. So this one would have to go to the voters. Just last question. Do you have contracted employees or all of them are FTEs?
We do have contracted employees. So in some cases, if we have a vacancy that needs to be filled immediately, we may fill that while concurrently pursuing filling the position through civil service. And in some cases, we have some supplemental federal funds with which we can hire contract employees. So right now we have 2 staff that are on contract through federal grants.
Thank you so much, Director.
You're welcome.
All right, members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed now with in-person testimony. Is there anyone who'd like to testify in person? All right, I see we have Angela Melody Young. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and the City Council. Angela Melody Young, testifying in strong support. So the Maui emergency set into motion a lot of drafts to revise and propose new emergency procedures to governmental services. And we're seeing these sorts of emergency procedures being drafted, updated, and proposed because emergencies are happening everywhere. So Act 143 from the state legislature proposed as Senate Bill 830 revised emergency procedures at schools because there was a gap between the guidance provided to administer first aid and the training and preparedness of personnel in the case of critical medical emergencies. And the purpose of this act was to supplement DOE emergency procedures because the team members did not respond in good faith when an emergency activated the response, so they needed this act. And so, you know, how it relates to now is like with the state's siren system, right? That's operated by HIEMA, the Hawaii Emergency Management Team. So as a concerned civilian, I'd like to see emergency directors who know the law and can act under pressure and knows what needs to be revised, drafted, and proposed. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, members. Any questions for the testifier? Clerks, do we have anyone else registered to testify or waiting in the chambers to testify?
Chair, there are none.
And are there any persons waiting online to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, seeing none. Members, we are in discussion on this matter. Is there any discussion? Perhaps the introducer, Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. You know, I'm going to defer to Chair's position. You know, I'd be okay still voting to support this. I'd also be okay if you wanted to hold on to it. And, you know, either way, I think our office would be working on an additional draft. I just wanted to note that, you know, in addition to the feedback we got from the department today on, you know, not wanting to intrude into what the HR already has said and also state law already has said, I think just by having this conversation about minimum requirements, even what's in there now in the proposed resolution, we've gotten feedback from many in the community that that's not enough. And so I do think it's reasonable to continue having this conversation about what our city constitution should have as the minimum requirements for the director, but definitely want to continue to work with the departments to refine the language. And so would anticipate doing a proposed committee draft if Chair, you know, wanted to hold on or move out. It'd have to come back again either way for for multiple readings. So yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you. Members, any other discussion on this resolution? Okay, I appreciate the comments from the introducer, Councilmember Wire. I think based on the testimony from the departments today, as well as Councilmember Wire's statements, what I'd like to do is the chair is recommending that we pass this out as is out of this first committee hearing, and then we can come back at a future date because this is a proposed charter amendment, has to be heard again. And at a future EMLA hearing, we'll be able to consider a more robust set of amendments that address some of these concerns. So again, the chair is recommending that Resolution 23-239 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. All right, Members, we're on agenda item number 3 now, which is Resolution 23-227. This provides for the acquisition of land for public use of 1421 Pensacola Street, located at Kula-o-Kahua, Honolulu, Oahu, Hawaii, and determining and declaring the necessity of the acquisition by eminent domain. We have with us Aaron Sakamoto, Chief of the Land Survey and Acquisition, Division of the Department of Design and Construction.
Good afternoon, Chair Dos Santos Tam, council members. Aaron Sakamoto with the Department of Design and Construction. We've submitted a draft resolution for the acquisition of the property at 1421 Pensacola Street for your consideration and adoption. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, members, any questions? Councilmember Say.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Sakamoto for a job well done. Let's think about the journey. How long was it ago when this particular topic was brought to the attention of the city?
I believe it was several years. It's been several years.
I believe it was 7 years. So the general public out there realizing, it takes time to try to condemn a private property, and I just wanted to say thank you. It's an eyesore, and I hope the city can use it for a better use in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, council member.
Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to in-person testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to testify? Okay, seeing none, and clerks, do we have any remote registered or standing by testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, very well. Members, we are in discussion on this resolution. Any discussion? I think Councilmember Say covered that. I think that this also is an important note for all of us for whom we have properties like this all throughout our island and all throughout our districts. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to continue to hound the departments to make sure there's some action. So that being said, the chair recommends that Resolution 23-227 be reported out to be laid over and published, and thereafter adopted at a subsequent council meeting. Any discussion, any objections or reservations? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Members, we're now moving to executive session. I note that the executive session items are fairly voluminous, so the following items as posted on the agenda have been referred to executive session. I will read the items individually to allow for oral public testimony on each item. First, we have a resolution to request additional funds for contract number SC COR 22-00087 to continue the services of Kobayashi Sugita and Goda LLP as special counsel to represent defendants Honolulu Liquor Commission, Jacob Fears and Catherine Fontaine in the legal action entitled Scarlet Honolulu Incorporated et al. Versus versus Honolulu Liquor Commission et al. Case number CV21-00457 KJM USDC. We'll now proceed with in-person testimony. Is there anyone in person who'd like to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Seeing none, we'll proceed with remote testimony. I see we have Robbie Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin, please proceed.
Hi, council members. Robert Baldwin, oppose agenda item 4. I'd like to start with reading the quote from council member Topola on this matter at the city council meeting in early 2022 over the initial funding. Quote, we also did speak about the Liquor Commission handling this with their own funds. As per the law, city employees are actually allowed to have legal representation. We're only voting to allow for the representation. If there is a further action, we will discuss it again in executive matters and legal affairs and decided as a council that we won't fund it with our own funds, end quote. This was in response to the public uproar of using tax dollars to defend the self-funded HLC. The appointment of special counsel was exceptionally outrageous, given the initial lawsuit was seeking $0 and only asking for reform. Now, due to this body's poor decision, liability for the city has exploded to over $5 million. What isn't surprising is that a third-party law firm would use this opportunity to run up fees. What is surprising is that KSG so flagrantly violated major provisions in their contract, which include not submitting monthly status reports, not submitting monthly bills, not submitting budget requests and warning letters that they'd run out of money and estimates on future expenses. KSG ran out of money in January. It's now November. They dropped approximately $250,000 in bills on the city at once on August 15th. Through this entire period, no settlement talks have happened.
And Ms. Baldwin, we can summarize on this agenda item. I also know you'd like to testify on the next item, so you'll have an additional opportunity in the next item.
Yep. Okay. I'll just wrap this one up. Regardless, a contract is a contract. If you do not follow it, there is no obligation to pay. Doing so as a council violates your fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayer.
Okay. Thank you. Clerks, is there anyone else standing by to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. All right. So we'll be taking testimony next on agenda item number 5. This is the resolution to retain legal services of Kobayashi Sugita Ngota LLP, a special deputy corporation counsel to represent defendants Honolulu Liquor Commission, Jacob Fears, Glenn Nishigata, and Catherine Fontaine in the legal action entitled Jumar Ray Waite versus Honolulu Liquor Commission et al., case number CV-00356, USDC. Clerks, is there anyone in person who'd like to testify?
Chair, there are none.
All right. There being none, we'll proceed now to remote testimony. We'll go back to Mr. Baldwin.
Hi, thanks. Robert Baldwin, opposed. This lawsuit arises out of the inaction of this body from the Scarlet suit. The HLC hired a token gay to their enforcement team in response to the allegations they were discriminatory. All the HLC had to do was not bully him. They couldn't even do that. Then they went even further and told him he was bound by an NDA. They instructed him not to tell Hugh Chen what his experience was. They attempted to hide him from the Scarlet litigation. The fact he would even consider hiring KSG for this case is astounding. The firm that botched the summary judgment motion and exposed the city to a mountain of liability from Judge Watson's order, that's who you want to hire? The firm that flagrantly violated its contract with the city? Lex Smith from KSG is called out in the current pending injunctive relief motion for helping the HLC commit witness tampering, including stalking my personal residence. Has anyone in this room reached out to the victim? He's terrified. Do not hire this firm that has no trouble engaging in legal intimidation to handle this case. Do better.
Okay. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay. Seeing none. Is there anyone else who would like to testify remotely on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Seeing none, we move on to testimony on agenda item number 6. This is a resolution to request additional funds for contract number SCCOR 22000096 to continue the services of Kobayashi Sugita Ngota LLP, a special counsel to represent defendants Ronald B. Dumlau, Chance C. Correa, and Jose J. Villanueva in legal action entitled Deborah Lynn Thomas individually and in her capacity as personal representative of the estate of Kyle Thomas versus City and County of Honolulu et al., civil number CV21-00087JAO/KJM USDC. Clerks, is there anyone in person or waiting remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 7. This is a resolution to request additional funds and extend time for contract number SCCOR 1700063 to continue the services of O'Connor and Diet, PC, formerly known as O'Connor and Campbell of Tempe, Arizona, as Special Deputy Corporation Counsel for the Honolulu Police Department and its custodians of records in a legal action entitled State of Arizona versus Miti Maungo Tinga, criminal number CR 20110-001172, Superior Court of the State of Arizona, Pinal County. Clerks, is there anyone waiting to testify in person or remotely on this item?
Chair, there are none.
Very well, we'll move on to agenda item number 8. This is a resolution to request additional funds for contract number SCCOR 1800062 to continue the services of Fukunaga, Mareyoshi Ching, and Con Herrera, LLP, as special counsel to represent Drew Akagi in the legal action titled Gerard K. Puana et al. Versus Catherine P. Kealoha et al., civil number CV16-00659, LEK WRP, USDC. Clerks, do we have anyone standing by remotely or in person to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, very well. We'll move on to agenda item number 9. This is a resolution to request additional funds for contract number SCCOR 2200098 to continue the services of McCorston, Miller, Mukai, McKinnon, LLP, as special counsel to represent Cheryl Sunia in the legal action titled Roynes J. Dural II versus City and County of Honolulu et al., case number CV21-00461HGWRP USDC, and all all related matters, including but not limited to Golden Karina Silva and Taishe Dural versus City and County of Honolulu et al., civil number 1CCV-21-00001590, Circuit Court. Clerks, is there anyone in the chambers or waiting remotely to testify on this matter?
Chair, there are none.
All right. Then we will move on to item number 10. This is a request for authorization to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Scott Paiva et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 18-1-1535-09 Circuit Court. Before we take testimony in this measure, I'd like to point out that the case number for this should be, again, 18-1-1535-009. It's currently listed as 18-1-0535-009 on the agenda. So, clerks, is there anyone waiting in person or remotely to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, very well. We'll move on to agenda item number 11. This is a request for authorization to settle claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Government Employees Insurance Company and James H. Seibert versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 1 DRC-20-0002661, Honolulu District Court. Clerks, is there anyone standing by remotely or in person waiting to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Members, item number 12. This is resolution for authorization to settle claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Letitia M. Lucas versus City and County of Honolulu, matter ID 23-00668. Clerks, is there anyone in the chambers or waiting online to testify on this item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, very well. Agenda item number 13 is a request for authorization to settle claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Benjamin Jelf on behalf of BJ, a minor, claim number 21-01569. Clerks, is there anyone waiting in the chambers or online waiting to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 14, request for authorization to settle a case entitled Justin Matsuda versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 1CCV-21-000377, KTM Circuit Court. Clerks, is there anyone waiting to testify in person or remotely on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Then we'll move on to testimony on item number 15. This is a request for recommendation to settle lawsuit entitled Surya Shumanibong versus Corey Morgan et al. Civil number 1CCV-21-00000811 DEO Circuit Court. Clerks, is there anyone waiting remotely or in person to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, very well. Members, are there any objections to convening into executive session?
Can I ask Corp Counsel a question
Yes.
before we
Yes.
go in?
Good afternoon, Dana Viola, Corporation Counsel.
Aloha. As you may know, there have been questions or issues raised about your contracting processes. So prior to us going into executive session, can you educate us on your processes?
So as a general rule, what Corporation Counsel does is we ask for money in segments so that we don't over-encumber city funds. So we often go with a smaller amount because we cannot anticipate how litigation will resolve. So as the case essentially builds, depending on how the case develops, often we're in the defensive mode. We're defending the city, so a lot of times it's driven by how the plaintiff is driving litigation, so we have to respond. So that's not always, we can't control that. That schedule is not set in stone. So what we have to deal with all the discovery motions, substantive efforts to obtain information from the city, all of that we have to address as it comes to us. That means that we have to come back, and we're required by by law to come back to council to get approval to spend money on these contracts. So at no time would we obligate the city without the approval and a recommendation from council. So we cannot pay a party, contrary to, I think, some representations. We can't pay a party without approval. So we can't go forward paying outside of the contract. So as the expenses for a particular litigation increase and go beyond our initial request, we have to come back to council for additional approval for additional funds as the case progresses. And What we try to do is try to get an idea how the case, by meeting with counsel, how the case will progress in the future. So if it comes to a point where it looks like the case cannot be resolved and it's going to go to trial, we'll get an estimate from counsel on how much the case will cost to take it to trial. And we'll come to counsel for that anticipatory costs. But oftentimes we come for costs that have already been expended. But we cannot pay without approval from counsel.
And my last question is, are you discomforted with any of your recommendations today in all of the cases?
No, I'm not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Members, any other questions for Corporation Counsel?
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, Councilmember Chipola.
Thank you, Corp Counsel Viola, for being here. Question in regards to funding source. So for all of these settlements and cases, paying out lawsuits, they all come from the general fund?
It comes from the general fund that's part of our budget, what we've set aside costs for litigation.
Oh, I see. So when you guys come in front of us for budget cycle, you add in all of those proposed amounts for litigation and to pay for lawsuits.
Right. But those funds are not at our expense to pay out unless we get approval from council. And we ask for it incrementally so that it doesn't over-encumber funds. So we don't, if there's a general idea in the provisional account how much money is going to be used for litigation, but those monies are not encumbered until we make the request to council.
Understood. I guess my question was about the source because in the past we have talked about the Liquor Commission lawsuits being paid for by the Liquor Commission, which to be honest would just be a transfer of funds if it's just from their source to your source, which could possibly be done in the budget committee. But as of right now, the law states that you guys need to pay for it and it comes out of your budget.
Right.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a question following up on that. So is this the same or is this different than the judgment and losses line item?
Different.
Okay. So the cost for contracts is part of CORE's budget, but judgment and losses, like when we have a settlement against us, that is out of the judgment and losses
So the
line item.
judgment and losses is also connected. That's part of CORE's budget as well, but that's a discrete amount that already has been encumbered. So that money is set aside essentially for judgment and losses throughout the year.
Okay. Thank you. Good clarification. Members, any other questions? Okay. Hearing none. Members, are there any objections to convening into executive session? All right, without objections, the committee will be convening into a closed meeting pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-4 and 92-5A4 to consult in a closed meeting with its attorneys on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and or liabilities of the city, the council, and its committees on the items listed on the agenda for executive session. The following persons will be participating in executive session: all council members present. From Corporation Counsel, Dwayne Pang, Maria Cook, Richard Llewellyn, Paige Ogata, Daniel Jacob, Thomas Nafziger, Justin Looney, Joy Neely, Mario Everett, and Seichi Liu, Office of Council Services Staff Attorney. For our member who is participating remotely, please call the number provided by the clerk's office to join the executive session. I'll now call a recess. The Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs is reconvened. It is 2:46 p.m. Pursuant to Section 92-4 and 92-5A4 of Hawaii Revised Statutes, the committee has consulted in executive session with its attorneys on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and/or liabilities of the city, the council, and its committees on the items listed on the agenda for executive session. I'll now make my recommendations on the executive session items, starting with agenda item number 4. The chair recommends the resolution to request additional funds for contract number SC COR 22-00087 to continue the services of Kobayashi, Sugita, and Goda LLP as special counsel to represent defendants Honolulu Liquor Commission, Jacob Fears, and Catherine Fontaine in legal action entitled Scarlet Honolulu Incorporated et al. Versus Honolulu Liquor Commission et al., case number CV21-00457 KJM USDC, be approved. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. We're going to do agenda item number 5. The chair recommends the resolution to retain legal services of Kobayashi, Sugita, and Goda LLP as special deputy corporation counsel to represent defendants Honolulu Liquor Commission, Jacob Fears, Glenn Nishigata, and Catherine Fontaine in the legal action entitled Jumar Ray Waite versus Honolulu Liquor Commission et al., case number CV23-00356 USDC, be approved. Any discussion, any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. And members, for the balance of items, I'm going to do this as one motion. So the chair recommends that the resolution to request additional funds for contract number SC COR 22-00096 to continue the services of Kobayashi, Sugita, and Goda LLP as special counsel to represent defendants Ronald V. Dumlau, Chancey Correa, and Jose J. Villanueva in the legal action entitled Deborah Lynn Thomas individually and in her capacity as personal representative of the estate of Kyle Thomas versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number CV21-00087JAO/KJM USDC be approved. The chair further recommends that the resolution to request additional funds and extend time for contract number SCCOR 170063 to continue the services of O'Connor and Diet PC, formerly known as O'Connor and Campbell of Tempe, Arizona, Special Deputy Corporation Counsel for the Honolulu Police Department and its custodians of records in a legal action entitled State of Arizona versus Miti Maunga Ontenga, criminal number CR 2010-001172, Superior Court of the State of Arizona, Pinal County, be approved. The chair further recommends that the resolution to request additional funds for contract number SCCOR 180062 to continue the services of Fukunaga, Mariyoshi Ching, and Con Herrera LLP as special counsel to represent Drew Akagi in the legal action titled Gerard K. Puana et al. Versus Catherine P. Kealoha et al. Civil number CV16-00659 LEK/WRP USDC be approved. The chair further recommends that the resolution to request additional funds for contract number SCCOR 22-00098 to continue the services of McCorston, Miller, Mukai, McKinnon LLP as special counsel to represent Cheryl Sunia in the action entitled Roynes J. DeRall II versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Case number CV21-00461HG/WRP USDC and all related matters including but not limited to Golden Karina Silva and Taishe Dural versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 1 CCV-21-001590 Circuit Court be approved. The chair further recommends that the request for authorization to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Scott Paiva et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 18-1-1535-09 Circuit Court be approved. The chair further recommends that the request for authorization to settle a claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Government Employees Insurance Company and James H. Seibert versus City and County of Honolulu et al. Civil number 1-DRC-20-002661 Honolulu District Court be approved. The chair further recommends that the request for authorization to settle a claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Letitia M. Lucas versus City and County of Honolulu, matter ID 23-00668 be approved. The chair further recommends that the request for authorization to settle a claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Benjamin Jelf on behalf of BJ, a minor, claim number 21-01569 be approved. The chair Further recommends that the request for authorization to settle case entitled Justin Matsuda versus City and County of Honolulu et al., civil number 1CCV-21-0000377, KTM Circuit Court be approved. And the chair finally recommends that the request for recommendation to settle a lawsuit entitled Surya Shumanivong versus Corey Morgan et al., civil number 1CCV-21-0000811 DEO Circuit Court be approved. Any discussion or objections or recommendations to that very long motion? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you, members. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 2:51. Thank you. We're going to immediately go into transportation, if that's okay with the clerks. How much time do we need to clear? Okay, we will come back at 2:55. Thank you.